are live. Yo. Welcome to the podcast, the official podcast, the You Ain't Finna Give It To Me Like That podcast. Welcome. Also, shout out to those who are on the Team Osiris Reloaded channel. Uh, you guys are also getting an exclusive. Just so you know, you might want to actually come over and subscribe to the new channel. I'll make sure to put that in the comments of where to get the new link to the new channel. So you guys come on over and show some love, show some support. All right. I have with me some guests here. Let me go ahead and show some love here with the guest here. Who we got here with us? We're here with this Reese. What's going on, Reese? What's up with you?
What's going on, family? What's going on?
All right, all right. And also we got with us Cuban Crisis, Brother Malik. How's it going, man? What's going on with you?
Spectacular, never before seen footage.
Definitely, definitely. So, yeah, tonight, guys, we're gonna actually go over the topic of the rising concept of a poly lifestyles here in America. That's something like that's kind of currently a trend, and we're definitely going to get into that and just kind of see how things have gone since time has passed, and you know see exactly how relationships are being handled and things like that. What are you guys' thoughts on the poly lifestyle?
Hey man, I'm ready to get into it, man. I got I know I got some polarizing views on it, seriously.
Right,
So
right, right.
I'm ready to get into it, man.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Uh, Cuban, what's your thoughts on the poly lifestyle?
I'm not against it. Um, it's it's old. It's not new to me. It's not it's not something new. But I'm not against it at all. That doesn't mean I would engage in it because I do think that there are credentials that have to be met. If those credentials ain't met, well, then you don't need to take on another woman.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. So I want to definitely give my perspective on the poly lifestyle. I would love to say that I think that the poly lifestyle is something that always kind of comes up year after year. People who either fantasize or want to be in a poly relationship, but may necessarily not know how to make that happen. And then also there are people who are in actual poly relationships, but they may not be maintaining it properly. A lot of times it's just for the thrill. For a lot of people, it's just for the opportunity to have more than one partner. So like people have to really understand what they're getting involved in and what are some of the caveats of being in a non-monogamous type of relationship. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Do you guys think that monogamous relationships are going away? The times have changed, especially like after COVID. A lot of relationships are a bit different. Do you guys think that monogamous relationships are going to be leaving? Are they no longer going to be the norm?
If you ask me, I I think it's gonna be a very, very slow process.
Hmm.
I don't think it'll go away anytime soon. But I feel like with the current society and the social media involvement in relationships, I kind of think that monogamy is getting to a point where it's like it's definitely getting to a point where it will no longer be the norm. It's
Gotcha.
just not gonna happen overnight though. So I don't want to put out this false sense of like, oh yeah, it's gonna be over tomorrow and everybody's gonna be poly. Nah, I feel like it's gonna be a slow burn into that process. But right now, I just feel like a lot of people are getting to the point where they're kind of like free spirited and kind of enjoy being by themselves. I feel like that's starting to be a trend now, or people are getting to the point where they just want to like have multiple partners and keep it like that. So. I think that's kind of where it's starting to go to.
Gotcha, gotcha. Cuban, what are your thoughts on monogamous relationships? Do you think that they're in the past, or do you think that people are going to try to maintain those type of relationships?
No, I don't see it going nowhere ever. Like it's just, I mean, they get like this, right? So, permissible for a man to have up to four women, right? And that's just Muslims. Then you have Rastafarians. Then you have 5%ers. You have Israelites. You know, there's so many different types. It's and yet you still so many different types of groups that it's permissible, even in the African traditions of Ifa, and even in Lukami, it's permissible. So it's not. I don't see it going nowhere at all.
You don't see it going anywhere. I'm definitely one to agree with that. I think monogamy is going to be around for quite some time, but I do think that Maurice brought up some points that yeah, you're going to see more people who are just like, you know what, I just want to be by myself. I don't want nobody. I don't want the pressure of having to have somebody and satisfy somebody. I don't want to have to deal with. For a lot of people, they don't want to have to deal with children or deal with potential divorce and things like that. So you are seeing an uptick of people who kind of want to either be by themselves or they want to have multiple partners. Some are already having multiple partners. They're just not in a poly relationship. They're just kind of, doing them. And then, of course, there's open relationships as well. Um, I want to make sure that I explain what polyamory is, just so that people understand. We say poly, but it's polyamory. Polyamory is the practice of engaging in multiple romantic and typically sexual relationships with the consent of all the people involved. So basically, multiple people are involved in a romantic relationship together, not just two. So, as today, where we see a lot of people on social media who kind of promote their, their poly lives or their non-monogamous lives, uh, is this something that should be considered mainstream, for the society, or is it kind of fringe? Is it just people kind of putting on, not really actually living that polymorphous lifestyle? They're just kind of putting on for the camera or putting on for social media. What do you guys think about that?
That's pretty loaded.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's loaded for a reason. I think the reason why I position that is because for a lot of us, we've seen people that kind of do things for social media. They do things for clout to get recognized, and I think that that's something that we have to take under consideration because, quite frankly, not a lot of people actually are really doing this poly lifestyle like they say they are. Some just kind of, in my opinion, fantasize about it. They have ideas about it, they want it, but they actually aren't putting in the necessary work to maintain something like that. So,
I can agree to that to
yeah,
to a certain extent. I do kind of feel like with this topic, you know, there are some people who take it serious, but then a lot of times when you hear about this, you really get a lot of, I hate to say it like this, but you kind of get a lot of immature input or immature ways of thinking about it because and this from both sides. When I said I mean male and female, because a lot of times when you think about it, the first thing that you hear a lot of people say is, oh well, it's just you just want to have a lot of sex, and it's like no, that's not really. If you really try to understand the type of relationship it is, it's really not about the sex. At least when I'm speaking of it, because I'm thinking of it more so in an economic way, in a way that helps all parties involved. Because think about it like this, you know, the prices of everything's rising. COVID did a number on the whole world. So right now, you know, 3 years ago, what was regular middle class and you felt like you were okay, a lot of those people are struggling right now. The homeless rates and population have went up astronomically around the country. You know, so you're getting to a point where somebody, two people having two decent jobs, it's getting to a point where you're gonna need a little bit more help. And it's almost like sometimes you feel like you're at your wits' end, but then you're like, hey, what if we bring another person into this equation that'll kind of help? And when we talk about poly, I'm thinking more like that. It's not about the sex. You know, I mean, will sex come? I mean, it could. Then at the same time, you have to have an agreement between all parties of what you guys want to do in regards to that. But be honest, sex shouldn't be the first thing you think about when you're talking about a poly relationship. To be honest, this is like a business deal. This is serious. You got three incomes, you got extra money coming in. Hey, are we gonna all invest in a business? What are we gonna do? And you gotta add up living arrangements, things of that nature. What if there are kids involved? So it to me it's a serious thing, and I wouldn't want to minimize it to where the first thing comes out is just sex, sex, sex.
Mm, okay, okay. So you think that there's more beneficial reasons to be in a poly relationship rather than just sexually being involved? You think that?
Absolutely, absolutely. All
So
right.
you think that having a situation with multiple partners where you all work and contribute to the collective is that the frame of mind?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now, what about people who don't necessarily um, like in those type of relationships like what about people who feel like maybe the women shouldn't necessarily work, that they should be nurturers and tend to their family and raise up the house? How would that work in a poly relationship where the man is the person who's primarily pretty much taking care of everything, and then the women aren't necessarily working? Would that still be something that would be beneficial for all parties involved?
The thing is, it could work, but as the man of that situation, if you're financially stable enough to do that, then by all means go for it.
Mm,
But the
okay.
but the way that I'm going about it, I'm thinking about regular people who probably don't have that type of income to where they can take care of two women or multiple children with two women at the same time, because that's more of a typical scenario than running into someone who has whose net worth is hundreds of thousands or millions, who's doing the same thing. That's few and far between versus the rest of the general population.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So I think that definitely brings up a interesting perspective for something like that. Cuban, what are your thoughts? Do you think that there's a benefit to being in a poly relationship, or no? What are those benefits?
Say that again.
Do you think that there's a benefit to being in a poly relationship, or no? What do you think? Do you
Yeah,
think there?
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's basically the same line of what
Do you
Marie
think that
said.
there's a benefit to
You
being?
know, it's everybody has a role. Everybody's contributing. It's communal in the sense of a man with multiple women.
Right, right.
and it's a you're creating your own society. Just the difference is there's not as multiple women, and with there being multiple women, and there's the possibility of multiple births.
Hmm.
So there's yeah, everybody has a responsibility. Everybody.
Gotcha.
If it's
Gotcha.
just some one-sided thing, some machismo thing, that's not polygamy.
Hmm.
That's not how
Gotcha.
it works.
Yeah, I definitely can understand that. Um, how common do you think that poly relationships are here in America? I know in other countries abroad, they may be more common due to the culture or the belief systems, but
It's very common.
uh, in America, it's not common in America.
No, no, it's common.
It is common in America.
I know a lot of people. Um,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At this point, I was at
I'm saying,
at this point, it's a rising, it's a rising thing. I'm starting to see it more and more, and it's starting to
Hmm.
happen with people that are getting younger and younger too. And it's just like, oh,
Gotcha.
okay.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Now, what's the difference between
and
being in?
I just wanted to add. I'm just for me
Sure.
personally, I've known people that I've known over 30 years that have multiple wives. And it's it works. But the thing is if there's something in the midst of that it doesn't begin to work, this is where you have to have conversation with your wife, and before it gets to another woman. But it's very common.
Yeah, I think you said something very powerful there. I feel like in these situations, communication has to be like one of the top three things in that situation. Uh, and the way I feel about it is if you are going to go that route, I feel like you should have at least have mastered your level of communication with one person before you can try to do two, three, and four people. And I know a lot of relationships suffer because of poor communication. So I feel like if you're in that situation, that should be one of your main focuses. Just like I said, just like we were talking about earlier with the communal thing, but
Right.
also
Right.
communication has to be a strong suit of that relationship for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if communication is something that's important for relationships. Period. Relationships, friendships, but especially when you're in that type of situation, you definitely need to have good communication. What's the difference from being in a poly relationship versus being roommates, or being in an open relationship?
Well, I mean, you kind of said it. I mean, a roommate is just a roommate. Now, if
But
you guys are doing something else, then I don't think you call yourself a roommate at that point. Yeah,
roommates don't have benefits.
no, you shouldn't. If you're a roommate, you're a roommate. But if you want to add some other stuff to that, then you got to probably put some type of title on that or something. I mean, it's obviously more than just a roommate situation. Because when you say roommate, I think of me and another person sharing a living space to make things easier on both of us. I don't think of anything sexual or any other things that we be doing like together in that respect.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, so I'm kind of big on words and titles so that we're not conflating everything and putting it all together.
gotcha,
And then
gotcha.
you got to think like that would be kind of weird. Like you call it your roommate, but how does it work when you want to bring somebody else around? It's like that's a weird situation.
But it happens all the time.
I'm sure it does, and I'm not minimizing it. I know it
Right,
happens all the time. The thing is, here we go. We go back to communication again because
right, right.
what if you and that person that you quote unquote calling your roommate and you guys are friends with benefits, you guys know what's going on, but one of you bring somebody in the house who doesn't know what's going on. How awkward is that for that person to end up finding out that you guys are romantically linked either currently or at once in the past. It's That's what I'm saying. It gets kind of weird when you do it like that. Um,
Yeah,
so
I
if
can,
that's
I
the
can see
situation you
this.
got going on, I think you probably need to put some type of title on that. And anytime you do meet somebody, they should know up front what you got going on because that makes for a very awkward situation. I'll be honest. I meet a girl and she says she got a male roommate and that they were romantically linked at some point in time. I'm not even getting in that situation. I don't even want to talk to her anymore. I'm just being honest. I don't even want to deal with it. I'm cool.
All right, Cuban, you got I thought you shaking your head. You got any thoughts on the whole roommate situation?
For me,
Yeah,
if this is my position is that if I was going to indulge in this form of relationship, this polygamy, um, I think that you had that it has to be some type of marriage involved. That's definite. I'm not saying go to the courts, but some form of marriage, right? It has to be, that you're giving, you're giving your word to these people, showing that you're being serious. But I think that the women should have their own places. That's me. If I was going to engage in that, there's no way I'm going to have all those women in the same house. That's just not going to happen.
Yep, which goes to another point I
so
made
so
earlier
you
when we
think
were
that
talking about it.
people in a poly relationship should have their own place, even though they're in a relationship?
That's just for me. I mean, people
But
practice.
how would that work?
What do you mean how that will work? Like
Have
as far as you being with the woman and everything?
but like how would it work that you're married
Mm-hmm.
to multiple people that are in this relationship, but
Mm-hmm.
each one of you have your own place? Wouldn't that be
Well, I know.
wouldn't that be something that would be for the collective? Wouldn't that be a waste of money and space? Why not just buy a larger space?
I mean, I'm based on people I know who
Gotcha.
do this that are married to more than one woman. Um, there's a schedule set where they will spend this time or this day with this wife. You know,
Right.
so they're given the rights. That helps as far as somebody getting seeing somebody's face every day, arguing, that type of thing. And yeah, it's more money, but it's also a thing of the person's choosing to take on this responsibility. And I think that that's a just thing to do for that woman. Think of the pressure that might be on her. She might be okay with it, but what after time? You know, and I just think that this because the fact that the man is with multiple women, not the woman is with multiple men, or even if that's going on, the thing of solely a man with multiple women, I think it's only just to do that for the woman. That's me.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Interesting. And so, what would be different in this situation than an open relationship? An open relationship, you're still connected, but you may have other partners.
It's just it's a and just everybody, these women are not on the same house. It. All I can say is I've never done it.
Right.
I don't
Right.
plan on doing it, but people I know that do it, it works fine.
Hmm.
There's no type of issue. There's that respect. There's the rights given to everybody, the respect, and it just works. And I mean, some cases I know a brother who has two wives, and one wife is in the States and his other wife is in Morocco. So there's a time out the year, maybe 2 years, that he goes and spends some time with her. You know, I know people who might have, their main wife with them, let's say North Jersey, but then they got three wives in Philadelphia. It
Mm,
works fine. It's just that's the thing though, is that when you're dealing with a polygamous relationship and you're taking it for real, not as just some you banging some broads back out type thing, that you're with a serious relationship, that requires finances. So that's how these brothers able that I know they do it because they're able to financially do it.
gotcha. Gotcha. Now, what about compared to monogamous relationships, guys? What about the success and longevity of poly relationships? Do you think that they can last the test of time? Are they going to be able to, allow people to still stay a part of this type of relationship, but it still have some type of benefit to their lives, not just economically, but just from a relationship standpoint, having someone there that they're married to that helps with fulfilling and benefiting their lives. Compared to monogamous relationships, do you guys think that poly relationships can hang? You think that they can have some long term success, or is it something temporary?
Um, I mean, if you think about it, just like with any relationship, I think, long term, I'm sure it can work. It just depends on the mindset of the people involved, really, and how motivated they are to keep what they got going on. You, uh, I think, yeah, they can. I'm sure they can last a very long time. Um, yeah, I don't see anything that would, as far as versus a monogamous situation. But the thing is, uh, with a monogamous situation, I think you'd probably get a little more stagnant faster because there's only you two involved, unless you two are making a conscious effort to keep things fresh and to keep things moving in a positive direction versus maybe in a poly situation, you have multiple people with multiple different personalities, and
Right.
you got a lot of you got a lot to deal with there. But that can also be a bad thing too. And I said it because I'm speaking from a male's perspective.
Right. Right.
Um, we understand, most men understand without even speaking that dealing with women is it's already dealing with one woman is already enough. So to deal with multiple women at the same time, you gotta be one hell of a dude to be putting up with those different attitudes and those different personalities. Because and I feel like most women that would engage in a situation, they'll be honest about it and be like, hey, I know women, we can be enough. One of us can be enough. I already know that I'm a handful. So just think about adding another one to that equation or another one. So, the same thing that's also a benefit you having those multiple personalities is also kind of a downfall too. Me personally, I feel like as a man, that would stress you out more to deal with multiple personalities from different women like that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm being positive about the situation, but at the same time, I'm being truthful. Like me personally, I gotta be honest. As much as I like the idea of possibly a poly situation, at least from an economic perspective, it's always in the back of my mind. Like, dude, I've been with enough women in my life. Do I want to deal with a bunch of them at the same time? I don't know. That's always gonna be something that's in the back of my mind. Like, man, I got to deal with this one. I got to deal with it. Oh no, I don't know if I can do that. So That's why I say you have to have as a man, you have to have a certain type of mindset to engage in that situation. And like I said earlier, you definitely can't be all about sex because if that's the case, you might as well just be single and just do whatever.
Yeah, I definitely hear that. Cuban, what you shaking your head there? You agree?
Absolutely. That's the big reason why I would never do it. I'd lose my brain, man. One woman's enough, man. Now, can you imagine just just all the scenarios that could take place? What if it's just one of the women out of the others? And now you got to talk to these your other wives about this. They're gonna have to have a sit down and talk. It's just no, I'm good. I'm good. Like he said, if you want multiple women, stay single, do what you want to do. Just at least be honest to these other females. But that responsibility, it requires a man with a lot of patience and tolerance.
Yep. And I'll be honest, I'm telling you another thing too. The first time all of those women have a sit down and get against you, it's a wrap for you, son. You over with. You're done. You're done. You might as well hang it up, bro. Because once they get on you, it's over with. Just get out. Just get out.
But now, so here's my thing. I feel like you guys present a particular perspective, but what if you're in it to build something? You know, not just economics and family, but what if you're in it to try to accomplish something? You're trying to maybe run a business, a family business, and you're busy, you have children, but you don't want to do everything with just you and one person. Why not share that load? You
Yeah,
know?
but that kind of goes with what I was saying earlier, as far as that is economics, because if you have multiple streams of income, say you got three or four streams of income, and your goal is to build something, which I personally I would hope that would be the goal. That's exactly what I'm thinking about the entire time being with multiple women. I'm looking at a situation where we're okay, we're enjoying each other's company, but there is a goal here for us to get to a point where we're all financially stable because we built something economically to take care of us and our immediate family for sure. I mean that's the whole goal. That's why I say, when we're talking about this, like I'm not talking about sex. Like that's the furthest thing from my
Right,
mind.
right, right,
We're talking about actually making this situation useful. You know,
right,
yeah, like I said, from my perspective, is there's got to be some economics in this. There has to be a reason. You know, you want to live comfortable, and you also want to make sure that everybody is taken care of. So this keeps everybody in the situation happy, everybody motivated, and also keeping everybody on the same page.
right. Now, what I was saying, like, doesn't necessarily there's a way to do it without having everybody working. There's a way to do it so where you could be holding it down. You can maintain that, but then having someone to be a nurturer, having someone to be the nutritionist or the cook for everybody, having someone to help manage the children or help upkeep the home or help assist with the business. That's something that you have opportunity to have, available to you when you have multiple partners and you're trying to accomplish something. And so that businessman who does come home and he has multiple partners, now, he's a part of a team and that team functions and moves and they get things done and it's a benefit to everybody.
Yeah, for sure. I think if you're in a situation where like you getting it out the mud, I think yeah, you communicate that in the beginning. Like, hey, once
Yeah,
we
yeah.
reach a certain goal at this point, this is where you start to venture off and do this part of this particular thing. Or, hey, this is where you venture off and now you start to become the nurturer. And then you like, hey, I want you to manage the business. And then you keep control of account. Yeah, at some point, once you get your goals, you start, giving everybody assigned roles. And but yeah, that communication has to be known from the beginning. But again, if you're a male or even a female in a situation where you're very financially stable, your net worth is high enough, you can already come out the gate delegating tasks because you don't have to get it out the mud because you already got that status. At this point, you're just trying to add on to what you already have.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. So, um, do you guys think that poly is like another name or I would say, do you think it's like another name for cheating, or do you think it kind of justifies cheating? You guys thoughts on that? Like, I can see how somebody can look at that and be like, "Oh, he just wants to cheat and be with other women."
No, I don't. I mean, if you're in a poly relationship, I don't think it justifies cheating because all parties involved should know what's going on at the same time. So you all have a certain understanding. Cheating is a situation where you're talking about somebody sneaking around doing something behind someone's back. But if you're in a poly relationship, that means you all know what's going on. So there's no reason to say, okay, he's cheating. Unless this guy is probably doing something outside of the two or three situations he already has. Yeah, different story. But as far as like bringing cheating into it, I mean, like I said earlier, you might as well just stay single and do that if that's the case. But I don't see any point. I put it to you like this. I got to be honest. If you can get two or three women on the same page to do um to enter in this arrangement with you, there's no reason for you to even feel like you need to cheat. You kind of already won because I would think most times it would be the men initiating these situations. Not saying that women don't, but I would think that it would be men that would be doing it most times. So
Yeah, I
if
was
you can
going to
get
say
two or three
some
people to
women
agree to
actually
that, I
do
mean, you win.
initiate those things. Yeah, sometimes women do actually initiate those type of things.
Oh
I can
yeah, I
say,
mean, I'm not, and yeah, I'm not saying that they don't, but I'm just
right,
saying, from the understanding that I have, most of the time you will see men doing that.
right. I think sometimes even like there's a myth that goes around that says like, oh well, kids that are in, you know, they have parents that are in poly families, that the kids are kind of like in like a education deficit, like they're affected by their parents' lifestyle in a negative way. And there is research out that actually shows that those children actually benefit from this extra added support, having additional parental roles within the family. Those children end up becoming more insightful. They're more happy and well adjusted, even though they're aware that, hey, I might have more than one mom, or in some cases, relationships more than one dad. They turn out generally better, and they understand things early on, like diversity and different types of culture and religion early on. So there are some benefits that could benefit the collective. And that's definitely one of them. It's one of the myths though, because a lot of times people think the same about uh, relationships where they may be gay. or a transsexual, and they say, "Oh, well, the children are going to negatively be affected by this type of relationship." When that's not necessarily the case. It just depends on the actual parents, and are they actually parenting properly? Do they have proper support to help assist them to parent if they're not parenting properly? And so I think that definitely helps defeat some of the stigma that's attached to that. What do you guys think?
That's a whole nother subject right there.
Definitely, definitely.
But no, there's people I know that are my friends that uh, in a household of polygamy to uh, you know, people I know that have the children. Like children are fine. I mean, somebody could. I mean, if that's the case, then you have uh, one-on-one relationships. Where there's a child and the child has or the children have a whole bunch of issues. So I mean, it's all it. I think all this. First of all, the start of all this has to be good intentions, right? And then there has to be communication. There has to be trust. There has to be respect. All that type of stuff. And I think once those things are established, it'll be fine. It's just it kind of just deals after that. It's just a thing of relationships can end. The same way a man and woman can end, the same way a man and two women, or three women, or four women, whatever. There could be issues in it. It's just what it is. But I think also because in the society we live in where it's it's taboo, you know, I think that that's why there's the ignorance with polygamy. And even to people that may have certain beliefs and that lifestyle is allowed. There's some people that's influenced by Western society, and they have they not only some things are it's not for me, but there's another thing when you're trying to say it's wrong, and it's not wrong. I mean, this is as old as man being here, as old as woman being here. This isn't something that just popped up because of YouTube or whatever. It's something that's existed. It's something that's going to continue to exist, and just people should educate themselves on it.
Yeah, that's very true. Very, very true. Uh, Referring back to our cheating conversation earlier, Plenty Free Spirit says if you're cheating, then you aren't poly. Definitely. Something else I'll bring up, and this is kind of part of the trend, the trend of poly lifestyles. Should poly lifestyles and relationships be lawfully permitted? We've now gone through the stage of uh, people who are homosexual or transsexual now, allowed to, in some states, they can get married, legally. Should something like a polyamorous relationship be legalized? And if
Absolutely,
so, why?
because for them to not legalize it, as if so-called founding fathers of this country weren't involved in this lifestyle. What would be hard to imagine about that? I'm sure that there were. Whether they were politicians or whatever. I'm very sure that there was people that engaged in that. And I just don't see what the big deal is. You know,
All right. Marisa, what's your thoughts? Should it be legalized or should they leave it the way it is?
Honestly, I mean, if they hell, if they legalize gays and stuff to get married, why not let multiple people get married to each other? Why not? I mean, what's
Yet,
good for the goose is good for the gander. Let's just make it acceptable for everybody if that's what we're doing.
right, right, right. Got a great comment here from Planet Free Spirits. She said to make poly legal, you would have to be very clear with the verbiage in the law because there is a thin line between poly and a cult. Shout out to Carbonation slash Elysia Bishop. Yeah, nah,
Oh, ain't that Nature Boy? I thought.
absolutely.
Oh, that's hilarious, bro.
No,
That
she's
is
right though.
hilarious.
It has to. It has to
That
be.
is hilarious.
The verbiage has to be very clear. The understanding of this has to be very clear. I agree.
Right,
Even
right,
if there was no court involved, there needs to be that amongst the individuals,
right. So y'all not into making
and it
cults? Y'all
should
not?
there should be something that should. I'm also for saying that there should be witnesses to it.
Oh, okay. We're gonna
Nah,
fix
I'm
it. I
definitely
got
not
you.
into making a cult because I
Yeah,
feel
I was
like
gonna
when you
say
say
y'all
making a
not
cult, I feel
into.
like that means feds getting involved for some reason. You know, cult equals feds to me. I don't want no parts of it.
Yeah, y'all not into just getting a bunch of women and
Wait, wait, wait.
start
I hope
a
y'all
cult.
didn't think I said anything about code. I'm not no. No code. Okay, I'm just saying that if there's no courts, even without courts involved, there should be a verbiage understanding, a
Right.
written understanding, and there should be witnesses to this. So that way, when if shit don't work out, well, you remember I said this. Remember this person said this. Look, this is documented here. Here are the witnesses to what we agreed upon.
Yeah, and honestly, about since we talking about this, as far as the marriage part goes, um, I kind of feel like that's another reason why poly lifestyle is starting to gain some traction because um, I feel like some of us are reaching a point. Uh, like I can only speak from a male's perspective. I can't speak from a female's perspective. But you know, I'm 36, and I always thought to myself, man, I wanted to be married, and I can't wait to be married. But to be honest, as time goes on and the society is changing the way it is, I also have these conflicting thoughts of why would I want to get married? What does it benefit me to be married at this point in this particular society? It almost makes me fearful of even getting into that particular union because why? I think, with the poly situation starting to be a thing and, you know, with social media being a big factor in everybody's lives, I feel like that is the reason like the downfall of the monogamous relationship is kind of part of it is social media and how we interact with each other. It feels like for the most part we don't really trust each other, and I feel like social media plays a big part in that. So it's almost as if what is the point of me getting married nowadays at this point? you know i'm I'm able to take care of myself. I have my own house, my own car, and all that. And then me being a traditional man, I would want to take care of my wife. But with what we have going on with this economy, is like I don't know if I can afford to be in that situation long term. And what do I get out of that situation at this point?
Mm, interesting.
I mean, I might as well just be single and be able to do as I please. Or I mean, maybe it could be a alternative. But at the same time, I don't feel like I'm ready to go that route. I'm not ready for that yet. So it just creates this weird place to be in where you just kind of have to think about these type of things like that.
Right, right. Uh, most I would say from what I perceive, most poly relationships, when they're looking to expand, a lot of times they say, well, you have to look for your unicorn. Basically, you would need a bisexual woman. You guys think that that's a necessary requirement in a poly relationship?
No, no, no. Because honestly, um, let's put it like this. There's, when it comes to poly relationships, the women involved don't necessarily have to be bisexual because they don't have to be involved with each other in that manner. Not always. And there are plenty cases and instances where that's how they operate,
Right,
where the women don't deal with each other in a sexual manner. But if that is what you're looking for, then yeah, by all means, yeah, you have to find that if that's what you're looking for. But when it comes to poly, I mean, you can be either or. You can have women that don't interact with each other sexually, or you can have women that do. But and that even in any situation, it's just goes back to communication and what the parties want out of this situation when you engage in that type of relationship.
right, right. What you, Cuban? You think that poly relationships require a bisexual woman, the
No,
unicorn?
no.
All right.
When you
I thought you was breaking up. My bad. So now that these type of relationships are trending in modern times, this used to be something that people used to say, oh, only existed within the Bible, for example, Bible times, if you will. But now that we're starting to see that more and more currently um, here, in America as well, where couples are kind of going in that direction. Some of them even have this new saying, um, where like it's like their new sexual orientation within a poly relationship called hetero flexibility. We're hetero flexible, which means like it's like they have like majority heterosexual orientation and a minority of homosexual orientation. Do you guys think that that's something like for couples coming together that clearly like they want to have sex with each other? On the flip side of finding a bisexual woman, do you think that it's necessary to have what they classify as hetero flexibility?
no,
All right, all right. Yeah, I think that it's possible to be in a poly relationship and parties kind of create the foundational rules of what they expect in the relationship without having to change who they are, without having to be someone else. Um, but I also think that when you're in that type of relationship, it's only natural that in order for it to work, there can't be like selfishness or jealousy because it won't work. So there has to be some level of acknowledgement of the other party. It's like being in a monogamous relationship. You have to be kind of aware of the needs and wants and the personality of the other party. You just can't be completely focused and zeroed in on yourself.
I
Planet
mean,
Free Spirit.
even more
I'm
than a
sorry. Right?
monogamous situation because now you got multiple people involved, and as we know, humans are social, and we all have certain level of attention that we need in order
Right.
to be in those situations. So I think it's even more important at that level.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Wait a second. I think I misunderstood your question, bro.
So you know how in monogamous relationships, how you have to kind of be aware of, in order for it to be kind of successful, you have to be aware of your mate's uh, personality, their wants, their needs, who they are. And sometimes being aware of those things means, kind of making sure that you do things to, keep that situation happy, to keep it satisfied. And that may mean going out of your way or not being selfish in my case, not being jealous in order for something like that to work. I'm saying even in a poly relationship, having that selfish mindset, having that jealous mindset, it's not going to work. It's the same as having those mindsets within a monogamous relationship.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So that goes back to this is the communication has to be established.
Correct.
Everything has to be laid out and agreed upon, and that's you know whatever these individuals agree on, that has to be there.
Right, right. And that's what Planet Free Spirit says here. She says the key is finding mature women and good communication. What do you guys thoughts on that? You think that maturity is a requirement for poly to work?
Absolutely, I think you do. And you know what? I wouldn't even necessarily say it's maturity per se, but you do have to have a level of understanding in that particular engagement um to be in that situation. It's not for everybody for sure. I know I don't feel like I'm ready for that type of situation.
Do you think that guys think that this is also like a another way of like swinging? You know how they used to do a lot of swinging years ago. Do you think that this is kind of like new age swinging, but instead of with just random people, you guys know everybody involved?
No, because if you're poly, you're poly. That's just what it is. Swinging is swinging. That's a whole different ball game. That's why I said, man, these words have definitions for a reason.
Right,
So,
right.
you know, they're not the same thing.
Gotcha, gotcha. Have either of you two guys? I don't want to get too personal, but have either of you guys been in a poly relationship? I know I haven't.
No, but I could have been in.
I mean, not a full blown situation. That was an attempt, but it didn't materialize.
So you say attempt, like it got close to
it.
you
It
guys setting it up, and then you guys backed away from it, or
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a relationship ended before it could even get that far. But um, this is why I say if you're going to engage in that type of situation, I feel like you have to already have a good understanding with the one person that you're already with. And if you two aren't already on the same page, you trying to add somebody else into the situation, it's not going to be good. You're already doomed from the start. So you and your partner have to be on point already, the one that you have.
gotcha. So you suggest starting off with a solid monogamous relationship and then moving on to poly. Not
Yeah, in my
Just
opinion, in my opinion, that would be the way to go.
mm, okay. I see. Yeah, that makes sense because you kind of have a strong foundation.
Yeah, because I don't see how a poly situation works if you don't have a strong foundation. I don't see how any relationship works if the foundation is not strong. Period. Whether it be monogamous or poly, but it's almost as if you're bringing somebody into a burning house. Why attempt to do such a thing if it's not solid?
Hey, maybe you think they can help put the fire out. Who knows? Um, uh, um, do you think that with that type of chemistry that the foundation has in the poly relationship, do you think that that kind of opens up the door to a bit of jealousy? Like, oh, okay, he favors her more because they, got a head start at this thing together.
I mean,
Type of
yeah,
energy.
if you're already a jealous person and you're not ready and you don't understand the situation, I mean, of
Right,
course.
right. But I mean, it's just something that you may not be a jealous person, but something you may recognize is that chemistry between two people that are, previously monogamous, even though you're new and have come, to the picture, they spending a lot of time together where you're not getting that available time, where you're not getting that attention, even though, all parties involved say that that's what they want. But, by natural instinct, they're just into each other a little bit more than balancing it out. So I think that might create the opportunity for jealousy, even though a person may not necessarily be jealous. Do you think that poly relationships require something like a ceremonial wedding, uh, something like that? Do you think that that's like traditional weddings would be necessary for like people that are in poly relationships to prove that hey, this is us being committed to this relationship?
I
I
mean,
think
it's not required, but I mean, if y'all agree on making it a thing, I mean, why not? To me, honestly, that's what I feel like the marriage is about. You having that union because you're showing everyone that hey, this I'm committed to this person and this is where I want to be. So I mean, if you guys agree that that's what y'all want to do, then why not? I mean, go for it. If that's what you want to do, go for it. But just like two monogamous people could just go down to the courthouse if they choose to
Right, right.
and just do it under the radar. I mean, you have the option of doing it too. It's just I guess it depends on what those people agree to as far as how they want to conduct it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So I know that COVID kind of changed how we interact with each other over time. Especially with being quarantined and things like that. Why do you guys think that polyamory is on the rise now? What would be the reason other than COVID? Because even at the COVID, monogamous relationships were still on the uptick. So it's not like people completely stopped being monogamous. But why do you guys think that poly relationships are on the uptick?
Well, I mean, I think maybe it's a fear or not wanting to be have a state sanctioned marriage. Maybe you don't want to be in that union because people are afraid of divorce and the stress and the monetary situation that goes behind it. Maybe they don't want to deal with that,
Mm,
or maybe some people just want to be involved with multiple people and that's just the thing that they want to do. And
Mm,
then, and if they can have an understanding and get people to agree to it, why not?
right, right. Yeah, that kind of explains the whole reason for like the trend. I think that, especially since COVID, where domestic violence percentages went up, and
And marriage rates
especially
have gone down, divorce rates have gone up.
I was yeah, exactly. I was getting ready to say that marriage rates have completely gone down. There's much more divorces now than previous years. So I can see how people are either going in the direction of I'm just going to be single by myself and leave me alone, or be in a poly relationship where they kind of lean on each other to try to make things work. I can definitely see how that benefits. Yep, yep. And man, make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe. It's an interesting conversation. Definitely make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, share the show, and make sure you guys, definitely leave a comment in the chat or comment on the actual post. Um,
Yeah, I think we could. I think at some point, in the future, we can revisit this with somebody who's actually in a poly relationship to give their perspective on this. I
right,
would like
right,
to, a couple of people we can have, come on the show and talk about, how they handle it, So that would definitely be an interesting topic because, right now we got three people that aren't in that type of situation. So I would definitely like to hear, see
definitely.
comments from people in the chat who are involved in that type of situation.
Yep. And also people who are, interested as well because, this kind of brings the meeting of the minds together. Um, it's great to hear what makes it work. It's the same thing that we ask, an elderly couple who's been together for, you know, 60, 70, plus years together, 80 years sometimes. How did you guys make it work? I think having a poly couple who's got some years in the game, kind of giving, what are the requirements to make something like that work? What are the things that you had to learn, once you got involved in that to really, really make it work? Whether it's just listening more, thinking before you speak, not jumping to conclusions, things like that. Things that we all kind of do naturally, even within our own monogamous relationship. So yeah, if you guys know anyone, or if you are that somebody out there listening that either has been in a poly relationship or someone who's even interested in a poly relationship, definitely let us know. Leave a comment in the chat. Drop some contact information, and we'll definitely reach out to you and get you guys on board. But yeah, I think tonight's a pretty good show. We'll keep it short. Um,
Yeah.
Before we close out, do want to let you guys know over on Team Osiris Reloaded channel, this will be the last stream for the podcast. Now, of course, we'll do other shows, but for the podcast, this will be the last stream you get on the Team Osiris channel. So make sure that you guys come on over to the You Ain't Finna Give It To Me Like That podcast. I'll make sure I put the link in the chat again. Let me go ahead and do that right now. Just another way you guys can make sure you subscribe and stay tuned to what we have here. Thanks everybody for coming through. Shout out to Planetary Spirit. Shout out to uh, Brother Tony Morgan. And shout out to the Bar Reloaded as well for you guys coming through tonight. All right. Closing words on the rising concepts of poly lifestyles here in America. Maurice Cuban, you guys have any closing words?
Yeah. I've said it once, I'll say it again, man. Relationships are weird now. It really is. I'm I'm old enough to remember that when there was a time when social media wasn't a thing. And you know, don't get me wrong, none of the stuff that we're dealing with besides social media is new. You know, people have always been cheating, you know, or should I say, there's always been infidelity in relationships. There's always been communication issues in relationships. But I feel like social media definitely adds different a different layer to, or should I say, a different complication to those situations. So it just feels like, you know, from thinking about when I was younger and seeing, or you know what I'm saying, what I feel like was more successful relationships lasting a lot longer to now in 2023, when you know it's not uncommon to see somebody with somebody, you know, different every 5 minutes. And it's just this is just a different situation. It's just it's wild, you know. So I think that's another thing that's contributing to people decide to become poly, or just saying, you know what, hey, I'd rather just be a free spirit and do what I want to do. And with that, you know, I'm done. You know, I appreciate everybody for stopping through, listening to us. You know, giving feedback. Can't wait to hear from more people, and especially people who are actually in the lifestyle. You know, we definitely would like to hear from you all, see how you make it work, or if you've done it before and it didn't work. You know, we want to hear from you guys. So definitely tune in. Cuban, you got anything?
Yeah, I just saw the message. My fault. Um, now I've said my piece on it. Other than that, tomorrow I'm gonna
Malik, I think your mic is muted.
yeah, I did. I muted it. That was
Okay.
it.
No, we didn't hear you. You said tonight you going I mean tomorrow you're gonna do something, and then it broke up.
Oh, so no, tomorrow I'm gonna relaunch my channel Into the Crisis.
Okay, okay. Yeah, let me make sure I put that in the chat as well for everybody to follow Into the Crisis. He's going live tomorrow. Let me get this channel back up and going. So let me go ahead and share that one. One last question. Maurice, you brought up free spirit, being a free spirit. Do you think that ultimately that also may be, a trend of people who just want to be free and just kind of left to themselves?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think, like I said, I think social media is creating it because, you know, we talked about this on previous shows and previous conversations where narcissism is on the rise. You know, social
Woo!
media is giving everybody a voice and made everybody feel like they're somebody important.
Yeah,
So everybody feels like they want to stand alone and they just have to be this it person, you know. And that's with the advent of social media. You have a lot of regular mundane people who feel like they're celebrities in their, you know, in their own right. So yeah, this is giving rise to a situation where, you know, people feel like they just got to be free, or they're somebody, you know, they're so important, so they just got to stand alone, stand tall. So that's where my reason is coming from.
gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I definitely can understand that. And speaking of free spirit, definitely shout out to Planet Free Spirit as well. Um, so yeah, I think tonight's show was definitely a good show. I think it's a topic that we definitely can come back and revisit, and definitely welcome to have someone on who's either interested in poly relationships or actually been involved in poly relationships, or still involved. Definitely would like the advice and information that one could gain from something like that. But definitely stay tuned. We got more coming, and I think you're gonna love who we got coming up. We'll be more active soon. Just working on some other topics and some other projects. I put Into the Crisis channel in the chat. Make sure you guys like and subscribe and share his channel as well. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. You ain't finna give it to me like that as well because, yeah, you ain't just finna give it to me like that. So stay tuned, stay subscribed, stay safe, and we'll catch you guys later. Do the outro.